What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, just up early on a Monday morning, watching Rory McIlroy try to win the Players and see that the Cincinnati Bengals have extended their two wide receivers. So I was like, let's do just an initial reaction. Now, we have seen this coming. The Bengals have tried to tell everybody this was the plan. And I think a lot of people just thought that they had franchised Tee Higgins again to, take advantage of that, ability to control his rights and not give him an extension, where they have been telling everybody we're planning on making Jamar Chase the highest paid wide receiver, one of the highest paid players in the NFL. They stood by that. He makes a ton of money now, rightfully so. He's easily one of the best non-quarterbacks in the NFL, had a dominant season and just a complete badass. I do think this is a little crazy. And we have seen teams recently or have two highly paid wide receivers. Usually there is like a lead up to it, right? They're not on the same trajectory or timelines, right? We saw Debo got paid, and a couple years later, Ayuk got paid. You draft Devontae Smith, you give him that early extension. You had to trade for A.J. Brown. You've given him a couple extensions. But this move at the same time feels like they're just doing whatever it takes to keep Joe Burrow happy, which I kind of understand because they have gone through this before, 15, 20 years ago with Carson Palmer. I guess not 20 years ago, but maybe 15-ish, when he's like, I quit. I'm going to retire. I would rather sit at home and look at my television than play for you. I don't trust you. I don't believe in you. And I think they were scarred by that. And when you got Joe Burrow, there aren't many employees in this country who you have to acquiesce, capitulate, and do whatever they want. We saw for a while in like Silicon Valley 3, 4 years ago, like the employees are all in charge. They're going to dictate the terms. It's like, they're actually not. They're going to do what they're told, and if they don't, they'll be fired. And that's usually how the NFL works. It's like, we kind of control. Like, you have to almost, it's kind of weird, right? The players and the owners split the money, but the players, unless you're an elite player, even if you're a good player like Tee Higgins, like, you really got to fight for your coin. Like, it is not easy to get the money, even though you are part of the pool that gets basically half the revenue. And Tee Higgins had to fight, and he had Joe Burrow fighting for him. And that really mattered because I don't think there's anyone in the NFL right now, when you factor in how aggressive they are and how outspoken they are about it, who has more pull than Joe Burrow. Because if Joe Burrow would have pulled like what most players in the NFL do, just kind of keep quiet and let the front office and let the GM and let the owner do what they do, I don't think Tee Higgins is on this team. Because this team didn't make the playoffs last year, not because of Joe Burrow, not because of Jamar Chase, who had won the Triple Crown and just was like, I mean, what a monster. Tee Higgins, while he was banged up last year, did have 10 touchdowns. But like, they found Tee Higgins in the second round. And every single year, we just saw three guys. A.J. Brown got traded a couple years ago, but A.J. Brown's been traded, DK Metcalf's been traded, Debo Samuel's been traded. They all make a ton of money, and they've all, been elite players in their own right and had huge moments. They were all second-round picks. Like, obviously, the AJ Greens and Jamar Chases, like Julio Jones, you can get guys really high in the draft and nail it. You can also find guys later in the draft and have a lot of success. And I think the trenches, the line of scrimmage, has been a question mark for the Bengals. And defense, the first half of the season last year, honestly, the first like 60-70% of the season, they were fucking atrocious. If they were just solid on defense, that team wins 11, 12 games and is cruising to the playoffs. I mean, by the end of the year, when the defense was just solid, they were clearly like, if the way they were playing at the end of the season, like, they were a playoff team. They were much better than the Steelers. You could argue they were better than the Broncos. So, I mean, technically they beat them, right, at the end of the year. But I just think when you're worried about the quarterback being mad and just you've gone through experiences in your past of Carson Palmer, you do things like this. Because Jamar Chase, every team in the league is giving him that contract, and rightfully so. I think when you also have T Higgins, I think you're flipping him probably last year, and you're getting some picks and you're allocating those resources on defensive linemen. You're drafting a wide receiver on the second day, and maybe you're drafting two and just let the cream rise and find a guy who can duplicate what Higgins does instead of for $29 million a year for two, right? And you're also drafting a running back. Now, you could argue they can still do that, but offense is not going to be the problem as long as you have Joe Burrow. It's going to be defense, it's going to be the offensive line, which I still think is a major, major question mark for this team. But listen, Joe Burrow's happy, and I bet that's all that Mike Brown currently cares about.